You know, every great story, it needs a solid foundation. So today, we're going to start at the absolute beginning, with the material that gave our species its name and its first real taste of power, stone. We're going to dive into its entire story, its incredible strengths, its surprising weaknesses, and in the end, we'll decide just where it ranks in our world today. Just think about it. For over 2 million years, stone was, well, it was everything. It was our technology, our protection, our shelter. It built entire empires and came to define the very idea of permanence. But now, in an age of steel, of concrete, of carbon fiber, has this ancient legend finally been outclassed? That's the question we're here to answer. All right, so how do we even begin to tackle this? To judge stone fairly, from the very first sharpened rock all the way to a modern granite countertop, we need a consistent standard. We need a set of rules that works across all of human history with no room for nostalgia. And here they are. We're calling them our 6 pillars of mastery. We're going to judge stone on its historical impact. That's a big one. Its raw mechanical performance and its workability. Then we'll see how it stacks up today, looking at its scalability, its versatility, and of course, its lasting relevance. We're going to be tough, no mercy here, because even legends have to prove they still belong. So let's go way back. And I mean way back. Not just thousands of years ago, we're talking millions. Picture this. Before we'd even mastered fire, before complex language was really a thing, there was a sound, that sharp crack of one rock hitting another. That was the sound of humanity inventing itself. The timescale here it's just mind-boggling. For over 2.5 million years, we had this simple Oldwin chopper. It got the job done. A million years later, we get the beautifully crafted Australian hand axe, kind of like the world's first multi-tool. Fast forward to 50,000 years ago, and they're making tiny, precise microliths for arrows and spears. But then came the real revolution. Polished stone axes that could clear forests, and grinding stones that gave us surplus food. Every single one of these was a leap forward for all of us. So you might be wondering what made these rocks so special. Well, it all comes down to a little bit of physics. The killer app, if you will, for our early ancestors was this amazing property called a conchoidal fracture. Basically, certain stones, like flint, break just like glass, with a predictable curve that creates an edge of incredible sharpness, far sharper than the first crude metals would be. That simple property of physics, well, that gave us everything. And this is the really crucial part. Stone wasn't just about survival anymore. It was the great enabler. See, those polished axes let us clear forests. Those grinding stones let us process grain. And what does that lead to? Farming. And with farming, we no longer had to wander. For the very first time, we could stay put, build real homes, and lay the groundwork for the first villages, the first cities, and everything that came after. So once we settled down, our ambition, it started to grow. We weren't just making tools to get through the day anymore. We began using stone to build for eternity, to create structures that would outlast the very empires that built them. 2.3 million. Let that number sink in for a moment. That's the estimated number of massive stone blocks that make up the Great Pyramid of Giza. It is a literal mountain, built by human hands, pointing to the heavens. And get this, some of the granite beams deep inside that pyramid weigh up to 80 tons. That's the weight of a modern battle tank, lifted and placed perfectly with nothing more than ramps, levers, and sheer human ingenuity. Absolutely incredible. And this wasn't just happening in Egypt. This was a global obsession. You go to Göbekli Tepe, and you see pillars put up by hunter-gatherers 12,000 years ago. The builders of Stonehenge dragged some of those giant stones over 240 kilometers. The Romans, they paved 250,000 miles of road with it to hold their empire together. And high in the Andes, the Inca fit stones together so perfectly, with no mortar at all, that their walls have stood against centuries of earthquakes. Stone, you see, became the universal language of permanence. Okay, so the history is epic, no doubt about it. But how does stone actually hold up under the cold, hard analysis of a modern engineer? It's time to take off the historian's hat, put on the hard hat, and look at stone's report card. Every hero has a superpower, and a kryptonite. For stone, it's no different. Its superpower is compressive strength. You can squeeze it, stack immense weight on it. A block of granite can handle 20,000 pounds per square inch, and it just doesn't care. But try to pull it apart or bend it, that's its kryptonite. It just snaps. And that one single weakness dictated the entire language of ancient architecture. All those arches and domes and thick walls were just brilliant ways to make sure stone was always being squeezed, never pulled. And of course, we all know it's hard. I mean, it's rock hard. On the Mohs scale of hardness, where a diamond is a perfect 10, a tough stone like granite comes in at a solid 6 or 7. And that's why it's so good at resisting scratches and wear. It literally stands the test of time. So let's put it all on the table, the good and the bad. In the pro column, you've got abundant, incredibly durable, fireproof, all amazing stuff. But in the con column, it's ridiculously heavy, it's brittle, meaning it can shatter without warning, and shaping it precisely is just a slow, wasteful process. These are the trade-offs that made it a king back then, but they also left the door wide open for its rivals. All right, we've walked through millions of years of history, we've gone over the engineering specs, the time has come. Let's weigh all the evidence and give stone its final official ranking. First up, historical impact. And this one's easy. It's a 10 out of 10, a perfect score. There is simply no debate. Let's be real, without stone, we're not even having this conversation. It didn't just build our world, it launched our species. Untouchable. Next, mechanical properties. We're giving this a strong 8 out of 10. Its strength and compression is frankly god tier, but that fatal flaw in tension, that's a big deal. It's a major crack in its armor, holding it back from a perfect score. Now, how about workability and scalability today? This is where things get tough for stone. In the modern world, it's a 4 out of 10. Yeah, a bit harsh, but think about it. Compared to just pouring a truck of concrete, the process of quarrying, cutting, and placing giant blocks is just too slow and expensive to keep up with our demands. And finally, versatility and lasting relevance. We're scoring this a 6 out of 10. Look, it's still a master in its own world, right? For beautiful facades, for monuments, for countertops, it's fantastic. But it has become a specialist. Its role has narrowed. You're not building a skyscraper frame or a microchip out of granite. So, we add it all up. All the history, all the science. From the dawn of humanity to the 21st century. The official ranking for stone is A tier. Now, why A tier and not the absolute top S tier? Well, it's because modern engineering has created materials specifically designed to overcome stone's core weaknesses. But make no mistake, A tier is elite. It's for the foundational legends, the titan that literally built our world, before passing the torch to its more adaptable children, like steel and reinforced concrete. And perhaps, in the end, that is stone's greatest legacy. Its gift to us wasn't just the pyramids or the roads. By giving us tools, then farming, then cities, stone gave us the one resource we could never create ourselves. It gave us time. Time to think, time to create, time to invent everything else.